All right, you know what that means. We're back to Australia.
Well, here came Edge, and this was again, I said at the top of the program, they should have led with somebody that maybe the new audience might know that at the same time would still mean something to the AEW crowd. Edge would have been the guy, but this brutal, rotten, indie garbage match that he was involved in would have driven people off the show like women and children off the deck of the Titanic. But he was over. The fans sang his song. When the music cut off, they continued singing to him. And they know him, and he's been a star for a while, even though, he now looks like Dan Haggerty's elderly uncle. And then here came Jay White, and, well, there came Jay White. But he's over there because he's one of those folk. Where is he from?
I think he may be New Zealand also.
He is so, again, they're close to home. They don't have the loyalty the Samoans do, but still.
Where's Old Zealand?
Well, it's under the sea. It's next to Atlantis. That's why they had to make a new one. The other one sank. And then here came Dick the Boozer and the Boar Horseman through the crowd. And they're having a Brisbane brawl with no disqualifications, no countouts, no tags. They even said no tags. How was that different from the last match they just had? Where they could have been counted out many times but weren't. They could have been disqualified but weren't. They had no tags. And the fight on this one started on the floor. And they fought in the entranceway. And they fought through the arena. And they fought into the stands. And they fought in the trenches. And they fought on the front line. But it's the same shit they always do. And the pace on this was somewhat glacial. And then we found out, and I'm trying to think, there was a place we went for a Ring of Honor show. It is 15 years ago. I want to say, was it Canada? Or whatever the fuck, where they couldn't find any tables. And I mean, there were panicked faces like, oh my God, we can't have a wrestling show without tables. Amongst the wrestlers, believe it or not. Because the tables that are broken in wrestling, have we ever talked about the measurements, Brian, of the tables that they break?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, I call them lunchroom tables because that's what, when I was a kid, the foldy leg tables that you see everybody slide in the ring and set up, they'd set it up in the lunchroom or in the gym or whatever if you were having the pizza party. But the tables that get broken are 8-foot tables. And now that you have heard that, can you visualize when a guy's stretched out on it, his head maybe almost goes to the top, his feet almost go to the bottom, right?
Right.
Because an 8-foot table, when you hit it with a weight in the middle of it, in the sweet spot, it'll break clean and potentially safely. But if that table is 6 feet long, and that's what, with the Ring of Honor show I was talking about, I think all they could find were 4-foot tables. Your sweet spot almost ain't there. The closer in that the legs are to the middle of the table, the sturdier it's going to be, the less it's going to, or the more it's going to take to break it, the less likely it is to break in the middle. You get my drift here. And when they pulled at least one of the tables I saw out, it looks like Australia has like 5-foot tables, maybe 6, but they were also thin. When Edge got power bombed through off the apron, I think, in this match through one of those tables, and it looked like he got power bombed through a fucking cardboard box from Uline. It just snapped like balsa wood, like chopsticks. The point is, in other countries, they have other office supplies with other measurements, and maybe they're on the metric system over there. I don't know what's going on, but did you notice the tables were a little flimsy? When they put, I can't remember who, I think Kyle laid on it for a minute. It looked like it was going to break in half just from the guy laying on it. Anyway, yeah, flimsy table break. Just random notes. Moxley shit looks so fake. The power bomb through a table was the break spot. When they came back, nothing was really happening. Then Edge made a comeback and Moxley stopped him. And then Jay White made a comeback with a kendo stick and they stopped him. The Road Warriors sold like Ricky Morton compared to these fucking heels. And then Wheeler, old Wheelie boy, he just rolled in and started whipping people with a belt. And then Edge speared what's he through the fucking table, and Claudio, and speared Moxley. And then Edge pulled out a barbed wire chair, a chair wrapped in barbed wire, and hit Moxley with it. Is it worth Brian stopping and taking a moment to pump the brakes and ask this question again, since it's been a couple years since I did the last time? What the fuck application does a chair wrapped in barbed wire have in real civilian life?
Well, there is none. We're supposed to assume that the wrestler left it there knowing that he'll need it, not that it was something that happened to be there, I guess.
Well, but again, so now guys are allowed to put their own personal weapons under. It's so stupid. The whole idea of the chair shot to begin with, in an arena, in a wrestling arena with spectators, there are chairs around and something you'd grab and pick up in a fight. If it's something that could be under the ring, I can go for a chair. I can go for a board. I could go for an extra turnbuckle. I go for a toolbox, fire extinguisher. But a chair wrapped in barbed wire, for any normal person, of course there are none, but any normal person that was watching this show would go, what the fuck is the matter with these people? It's just so stupid. And then Marina Schaefer, oh god damn it. Somebody had a wonderful nickname for that we ought to start calling her. On that they tweeted, and now I've forgotten what it was. I just remember saying I should fucking write that down. Then I didn't write it down. But Marina Schaefer hit Edge with the briefcase, but not really, because she missed him. But he sold it, and Moxley got the choke on him, and everything came to a halt. There was no motion. It took forever. All of the extra people, the heels that weren't in the match, were holding Edge's solitary partner away from making any kind of a save. And then the referee rang the bell. And the crowd booed, not in the way of, boo, we hate you, you heel. It was like, boo, that's the fucking finish. And it was a garbage match with a rotten finish. And then, before you comment, when Moxley kept choking Edge, the crowd started chanting bullshit. Because it was going nowhere. And then Moxley jumps up like a maniac, running around, cussed and got bleeped, whatever he said. And then the heels wandered around while Moxley acted like a tough guy and flipped everybody the fucking bird. And it was like garbage championship wrestling with a budget. And after all the other self-inflicted wounds and bad booking decisions, it may be this fucking low-class clown that kills this whole thing and just runs everybody off. He is the worst wrestler in the world. I'm sorry, please give me your feedback. I've droned on for too long.
You didn't know this. I literally was going to begin by saying Jon Moxley is the worst wrestler in the world.
Well, I'm sorry I stole your material.
When I first said that several years ago, we would still hear a lot of pushback. Can you imagine how crazy Cornette and Last are? They think Moxley sucks. Everyone sees it now. His ideas are terrible. His work is terrible. The fact that they're putting over so strongly a heel team that the fans reject. This isn't heat. Chanting bullshit isn't heat here. It is the fans are sick of this with Moxley, him choking people out, killing people. The other thing that's scarier is what this could mean. Moxley and Edge are about to wrestle at the AEW pay-per-view coming up. Edge just got choked out. Does that mean he's going to win? Which scares me, because if he wins the title, first of all, I wouldn't make him the world champion right now. But second of all, does that mean Christian's going to cash in right away? I mean, there's all these dynamics. None of them are good. The world champion is Moxley. You never see the belt. And it's like a vacancy at the top of the card right now. They've killed every single segment they've been in ratings-wise. Tony has put them, if you notice, over the last 3 months, Tony has put the Death Riders in every quarter of the show. Just trying to find any place where they won't drive people away. It's impossible. The Death Rider stuff is only good to Jon Moxley because he's a wrestling moron. He knows what he likes. He knows what he wants to be, but he doesn't know what people want and what people want him to be. Terrible match. Terrible. I said it the other day, none of these people are marketable. They just put out a white t-shirt that says Death Riders at the bottom, apparently, that they're selling. It's just bad. And I don't think anyone wants to see Edge. He got a great reaction here. It was a wonderful moment with everyone singing his song because the Australian fans are happy to see him. But his run in AEW has been awful. And against the Death Riders has been god-awful.
If he's about to wrestle for the AEW world title and, at least many of the AEW faithful are on board with that, right? How old is Edge? Is it 53? I'm trying to remember. You might be able to Google it, but the point of the matter is that wasn't it just a few weeks ago that Uncle Dave was saying, well, about Shelton Benjamin, I don't know, pushing a guy that was 49 years old and wasn't used real well on TV in the WWE
51.
A few years ago.
Edge is 51.
Okay, Edge is 51. Look at Edge at 51 next to Shelton Benjamin at 49. Tell me who might ought to be the world champion between the two of them.
Well, that was that match, Jim. And of course, there was still more to go, but the fans were pretty deflated by this point. AEW Grand Slam.
Yes, they looked like one of those wind socks in a calm wind at the airport.